Welcome back to the cryptoworld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, while this new Bitcoin signal is flashing on the chart, we're seeing a new pattern form in the short term that we need to pay attention to. So I'll be talking about that in just a moment, alongside Ethereum, which is also forming the same short-term pattern, while Solana is getting extremely close to a potential breakout from this pattern. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the 3-day Bitcoin chart, and right now the USDT market cap is still heading to the upside, which, as I've said in recent videos here on the channel, is bullish for Bitcoin and crypto. Because usually the price of Bitcoin kind of just follows the USDT market cap. If the USDT market cap is going to the downside, that means liquidity is drying up, which usually means the Bitcoin price is about to drop. But on the other hand, if the USDT market cap is rapidly increasing, then even if the Bitcoin price is currently in a pullback, usually we end up seeing the price of Bitcoin catch up to that USDT market cap back to the upside if the USDT market cap is heading to the upside, as we've seen previously. And so ultimately on the larger timeframes, especially in terms of the larger bullish trend, also known as the bull market, we are still currently looking bullish here on the larger timeframes. But obviously during the larger bullish trend, in case you're new to all of this, we can see short-term pullbacks here and there. So short-term bearish price action during longer-term bullish price action. And so just because we see a bit of a pullback in the short term, even a 20% pullback, that does not necessarily mean it's the end of the bull market, because we've seen that multiple times already throughout this very bull market. But anyway, taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, looking at the DXY over the last 1 day or so, we've seen a very slight move back to the upside in the DXY, but overall, it's kind of just consolidating sideways over the last few days or so. And so I'll definitely be keeping an eye on the DXY. Of course, if it continues further back to the upside, that can be a bit of a bearish signal or a warning signal for Bitcoin and crypto, as we've seen in the past. But ultimately, if this pullback actually continues further to the downside in the DXY, then like we've seen in the past, that can be very bullish for Bitcoin and crypto. And so as always, I'll keep you up to date on what's happening here in the DXY and many other important charts here in these videos every day. So make sure you subscribe to this channel with notifications turned on and click all for notifications so that you don't miss out on any of these important update videos. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, as I mentioned in my last video here on the channel, the daily Bitcoin RSI is getting extremely close to a potential breakout above this descending line of resistance. But at least as of right now, at the time of recording this video, we have not yet confirmed a breakout here in the daily Bitcoin RSI, so we're still actually waiting for that signal to be confirmed. And if you're new to the channel and you want to know more about this signal and this chart right here, then check out my last video here on the channel, because in that video, I talked more about this chart right here. And so getting straight into the shorter term, looking at the 4-hour time frame right now, as of recording this video, the price of Bitcoin is still somewhat struggling around this area of resistance, sitting in between around 65 to 66,000. And so obviously what's happening here in the short term should be no surprise over the last few days, since all the way back down here, I've been talking about this bullish divergence playing out in the short term, which has been playing out exactly as expected. But once again, what we are now seeing is the price is somewhat struggling around this area of resistance. But if we ultimately see a confirmed breakout above around 66,000, give or take, and ideally flip that into new support again, then in that case, the next area of resistance to the upside is sitting in between around 68,000 to 69,000, and above that we have significant resistance at around 71,500 and more resistance at around 73 to 74,000. And so the situation right now for Bitcoin in the short term is that we're currently in a bit of a bullish relief, a bit of a recovery out of that pullback. But just in the imminent short term, of course, around those areas of resistance, those are usually the areas where the price struggles to go further to the upside, at least in the imminent short term. And also, while we're seeing this bullish relief back to the upside here in the short term, if we're taking a look at this 4-hour time frame, we can actually see a potential rising wedge pattern form, which is statistically a bearish pattern. because roughly around 2/3 of the time a rising wedge will break to the downside, and around 1/3 of the time a rising wedge will break to the upside. And so it's not impossible to see this breakout to the upside. That can happen, but it's simply the most likely scenario is the bearish scenario, statistically speaking. Once again, we can see the bullish scenario, but that is the less likely scenario just based on the rising wedge. But for now, we have not confirmed a break of either support or resistance, which means the target is not yet in play. And as for short-term resistance, this is sitting at around 66,500, so right around this previous high back here. And as for the support line for this rising wedge pattern, that is currently sitting at around 65,000 approximately. And so basically, if we reject from this area of resistance and then we start breaking below around 65,000 or below this low right here, sitting at around 64,500 approximately, then that would be a short-term signal right there if that actually confirms, telling us that we could potentially see another short-term pullback to the downside. Because in that case, if we actually confirm the break below this support and form a lower low below this previous low, then that would set up a bearish price target for this pattern, which is sitting at around the bottom of the wedge at around 60,500. But there is a secondary way we can measure the price target for a rising wedge pattern, and if we're taking a look at that measured move, if we actually confirm this break to the downside once again below that support, that could also set up a technical price target at around 61,500. And so basically, if we fail to hold 65,000, then in that case, expect a potential short-term pullback down towards around 61 to 62,000. And if that level does not hold, then we could potentially retest these lows. But once again, that situation only comes into play if we first confirm a break below this support and ideally below this low right here. And also, it's important to understand that even in that situation, of course, on the larger timeframes, we can still remain within the larger bullish trend, aka the bull market. Because as always, it's important to understand the difference between the different timeframes. Once again, in the short term, it's possible to look a little bit more bearish from time to time, even during a larger bullish trend. But at least for now, once again, we have not yet confirmed that bearish price target in the short term because we have not yet confirmed the break to the downside. But with that being said, when it comes to my Bitcoin trading strategy right now, I've already taken a little bit more profits off the table when it comes to my Bitcoin long position. And in case you're new to this channel, basically around a week ago, give or take, right around here, I was slowly scaling into a Bitcoin long position as the price dropped to the downside. And so basically it was just a low leverage position as I was scaling into the position with buy orders further to the downside. So basically as Bitcoin dropped, it lowered my entry price. And I mentioned on the channel right around here, with that bounce back to the upside right here, I did already take some profits off the table, but I left the rest of the trade open. And right now, of course, the trade is sitting in some decent profits. And I've also taken a little bit more profits off the table due to this potential bearish pattern forming. But ultimately, I still have some of that long position still open in case we actually see a continued move to the upside. I would continue to profit from that move. And of course, I still have a lot of spot Bitcoin just in cold storage. And if we see that move to the downside, that could be a potential opportunity to short. But personally, I'm mainly focusing on long positions considering we are in a larger bullish market. But as always, none of that is personal financial advice because I don't know your personal financial situation. I'm just letting you know what I'm doing with my own trading strategy. And if you want to trade these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, personally, I take trades just like that over on Bybit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit in the description down below and in the pinned comment. And in fact, if you use that link down below this video to make a Bybit account and deposit on that account, you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. And also, if you use that link, I'll take you to this page right here where you can claim an exclusive 200 USDT airdrop position. And this airdrop position is only available if you use the link down below this video to sign up to Bybit. Basically, if you use the link under someone else, then unfortunately you cannot claim this free airdrop. And so in that situation, if you still want to claim this airdrop, basically you would have to close your existing Bybit account and open a new account under this link if you want to claim this airdrop. And so if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check that out. Once again, first link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there is also Bitflex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitflex. And so I'll also leave a link to Bitflex down below this video as an alternative crypto exchange. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we can see over the last one day, we exactly took out that area of liquidity that I've been talking about recently here on the channel. Because as I've said recently, we had a lot of liquidity sitting at around 65 to 66,000, give or take, which we basically wiped out over the last one day. But what we are now seeing in the short term is actually a little bit of downside liquidity starting to build at around 64.2k approximately. And so it's possible, I'm not saying this is definitely going to happen, but it's possible that we could see a slight move to take out that liquidity to the downside before heading back to the upside later on. Because if we're zooming out to a larger time frame, looking at larger levels of liquidity, we still have a lot of liquidations sitting at around 73,000, give or take, with some liquidity sitting at around 71.8k. And so once again, it's a possibility we could see a slight move down in the imminent short term to take out that short-term liquidity before then heading further back to the upside to take out those much larger levels of liquidity. And also another reason to potentially stay a little bit more bullish in the short term, even if we see a move to the downside in the short term, is simply due to the funding rates still sitting in negative territories. A lot of these funding rates, in fact, almost all of the funding rates are sitting below neutral, below 0.01%. And so what this tells us is that there's a lot of traders in the market looking to short Bitcoin and crypto, and not a lot of people looking to long the market. And so that's why I said earlier, even if we see this break to the downside in the short term, personally, I'll be a little bit skeptical to short Bitcoin because we're still in a larger bullish market and the funding rates at the moment are sitting in negative territories. And basically, in case you're new to all of this, when the funding rates are negative, it means it's becoming more and more expensive to short Bitcoin because basically when the funding rates are negative, the short positions are having to pay those funding rates as a fee to the long positions. And so a possible short-term trading strategy to think about, once again, not financial advice, but if we actually see this move to the downside, if we first confirm a break below this support, then personally in that situation, if we see that move to the downside once again, I would potentially just use that as a better opportunity to accumulate a larger long position at better prices. And once again, that's mainly based on the fact that we're still within a larger bullish trend on the larger time frames. So I'm talking about a longer term position here, not a day-to-day trade. And also, once again, that's based on the fact that the funding rates are still sitting below neutral. A lot of the funding rates in negative territories. But anyway, getting into the Ethereum part of this video, looking at that 8-hour time frame, and just like Bitcoin in the short term, the price of ETH is now running into short-term resistance where the price is struggling at as expected. Because obviously, since all the way back down here over the last half a week or so, I've been talking about how this bullish divergence is most likely going to play out over the next few days, which has been playing out as expected. But we cannot forget about this area of resistance where the price is now struggling at in between around 3.2k to 3250. And now if we actually see a confirmed breakout above 3250 and ideally flip that into new support again, then in that case, the next short-term resistance is sitting in between around 3470 to 3530. And the next significant resistance is this level at around 3650. And also, just like Bitcoin, while the price of ETH has been seeing a slight bullish relief here in the short term, a slight recovery out of that pullback, we have also been seeing a new rising wedge pattern form here on the 3-hour ETH to US dollar chart. And once again, like I said earlier, a rising wedge pattern is statistically a bearish pattern where it is more likely to break to the downside than to the upside. And if we see the break to the downside confirm, which by the way, this level of support is sitting at around 3170 approximately, and this level of resistance is sitting at around 3240 approximately. And basically, if we see that break to the downside below this support confirm with candle closes below that level, and ideally a retest of that level confirming it as new resistance, then in that case, taking a look at a measured move for a technical price target for this pattern right here, that would set up an initial price target to the downside at around just above $3,000 at around 3,030. And so from the point of the breakdown to that price target, that would be a potential 4 to 5% move to the downside if we first confirm a break below this support and ideally below these lows right here, which is sitting at around 3140, give or take. And the full complete technical price target for a rising wedge would be the bottom of the wedge, which if we're looking at the candle closest here, is sitting at around 29.50 approximately. And that's also sitting right around this area of support, sitting in between around 28.50 to 29.50, acting as support. But once again, we have not yet confirmed that break to the downside, so this price target and that bearish scenario to the downside is not yet in play. And so instead, if we actually hold this area of support and see a bounce back to the upside, and if we actually break out above this resistance, so above around 32.50, then in that case, we could see a further bullish relief up to the next area of resistance. And so those are the potential signals and price targets to pay attention to, but at the moment, we're just waiting for one of those signals to actually confirm in order to set up the next short-term price target. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the 8-hour time frame, it's also in a similar situation to Bitcoin and Ethereum, where the price has obviously seen a bullish relief over the last half a week approximately from this bullish divergence as expected. But we are now running into this short-term area of resistance where the price is struggling at, also as expected, sitting in between around 150 to 155. But ultimately, if we see a confirmed breakout above 155, then in that case, the next short-term area of resistance is sitting in between around 167 to 172. And we also have a potential bump and run reversal pattern here with the lead-in phase, the bump phase, and a possible run phase back to the upside, which is a bullish reversal pattern, but only if we see a confirmed breakout above this resistance. And this line of resistance is also intercepting this same horizontal area of resistance at roughly around 155. And if we see a confirmed breakout here, that will set up a bullish price target for this bump and run reversal pattern sitting at the top of the lead-in phase, so at around $200. And if we're also zooming into the short term, looking at the 4-hour time frame, as I said in my last video, we have a potential Adam and Eve bullish reversal pattern, a double bottom pattern. But this pattern only confirms, and the price target only confirms and comes into play if we see a confirmed breakout with candle closes above this neckline, which is sitting at roughly around 154 to 155. And so once again, we're ultimately just waiting to see a confirmed breakout above around 155 in order to flip much more bullish again in the short term, which by the way, the price target for this pattern is sitting at around $186. But even if we see this confirmed breakout to the upside and set up this bullish price target right here and the bullish price target for the bump and run reversal pattern, we also cannot forget about this area of resistance where the price could potentially still struggle at. And once again, if you want to trade these moves in the price of Solana or any other crypto, check out those links down below this video if you want to claim those extra bonuses. And if you want to actually know how to trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.